the DNC said they put a lot of thought into this and tried to make it as fair and equitable as possible.
And the only concern I have is that they haven't been running many polls, in part because of the holidays. So it's very difficult to have a higher threshold when there aren't that many polls out in the field.
How's it yangin' dudes? My name is Sean. Oh, excuse me. Inclusivity, right? How's it yangin' dudes and dudettes? My name is Sean. Welcome back to my channel where we like to poke a little fun to mainstream media, but I was going to do that and make a corrected video, but I can't in good conscience do that. And believe me, you know, you go back on my channel, you can see I've stretched my conscience pretty thin to get these corrected videos out, you know what I'm saying? But I can't really do that because CNN has just been so cordial and nice and friendly with Andrew Yang, and I think they're finally starting to understand that he's a serious candidate, or that his ideas are beneficial to everybody. It's not attacking the people, the super wealthy people, because really only half of the actual wealthy people participate in some of the horrible shit that goes on. Most people are just, you know, that guy down the street who just happens to have a really big house and owns the company down the street. You know what I mean? So it's like half and half. He's not attacking the billionaires necessarily, but he's also trying to prop up the poor and the middle class and give them something, because our main streets are getting riddled. And I want to play the full interview, but there's a part where Andrew Yang admits that he's concerned about the DNC and them raising the threshold, which they shouldn't have done. And I warned everybody about this video a few months back. I warned people that the DNC has this they have this issue of not really being transparent. They try to act like they're fair and they're transparent, but they are not. And I warned that they were going to raise the threshold, and they did it just to, you know, just so Yang can't get. It's going to be harder for him to make the debate. You know what I mean? But he's very confident that he's going to make quite a few polls. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Like I said, he has quite a few polls coming out, and he has like a three. You know, you got to flip the coin 3 times on each poll, and if he makes, you know, heads on so many of them, he can qualify. So, I have to say, if there is any Yang supporters on this channel, before we get into a little bit of analysis, Gang2020.com. We've got just a few days, and you know, some of the larger candidates are outraising us by 250%. That's a little bit of bad news. So we gotta get on that, guys. Gotta get on that. I'm also going to be releasing new merch and donating my merch proceeds to the Andrew Yang campaign. And hopefully in the next video, I'm paying for more graphic art out of some of that merch money. So we're going to be dropping new merch, painting the artist, and we're going to be doing all that on a video. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, I want to go ahead and play the video. Towards the middle, or 3/4 in is where he talks about the DNC, but it's a good cordial interview. I can't really force a corrected video out of it, so I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll give you my thoughts on the other end.
One Democratic presidential candidate is vowing to overperform in the Iowa caucuses, now barely a month away, believe it or not, but most recent polling shows him far from front-runner territory, though. Andrew Yang here with us now. Mr. Yang, thanks for coming in on holiday weekend.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
We really appreciate it. Before we get into the race itself, I'm curious, you just celebrated holidays and Christmas and all of that. What did you guys talk any politics at your holiday table?
I think Christmas was a politics-free day.
Zone.
Yeah, we figured no one wanted to hear from me that day, so I got a day with a family, and my family did not really want to talk about the campaign. My boys have no idea what Daddy's doing. I just tell them I have a very big deadline.
And remind us how old they are again?
7 and 4.
Yeah, so they're still pretty little. All right, well, I'm glad you got some family time in. Let's get down to it now, 2020. Of course, the Iowa caucus is just right down the way now as we turn into the new year. And you predict that you're going to do well.
Yes.
That you think you're going to overperform in Iowa, but you say that state isn't make or break for your campaign. So where do you stand on that? Do you still think it's not make or break in Iowa?
Well, we're going to do really well in Iowa, but I just came from South Carolina where the energy is growing. I'm heading to New Year's to celebrate. Sorry, I'm heading to New Hampshire to celebrate New Year's. And we're really, really strong in New Hampshire. So Iowa's pivotal, but we're seeing strength in all of the early states.
Yeah, and so what do you, is it from a fundraising perspective? I mean, if you don't come in let's say the top 4 or 5 in Iowa, that's not going to you think, start to dwindle and narrow the field a little bit?
Well, anyone looking at the campaign sees that we have some of the strongest support from people online. We raised $10 million last quarter. We're going to do better this quarter. And so that support is going to be very, very resilient because the Yang Gang has been with us from the very beginning, and they want to see this through all the way through the spring.
Yeah. And what state would you say is there one that's really the one that you're gonna, this is it, this is my line in the sand, or you open to
Well, I think we're going to do really well in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
I think we're striking a powerful chord there. But I think the same thing about Nevada, South Carolina, and I can't wait for the Super Tuesday states because California, Texas, we've had thousands of people come out for the campaign in each of those places. I think we're going to shock a lot of people come February and March.
It is interesting to remember that in Democratic primaries, it's not winner take all with delegates. So it does become a math game, as it were, in terms of collecting delegates. You don't have to win the state to get delegates all the time. You do have to hit a certain percentage, though. That next debate in Iowa is in January. CNN's going to host it along with the Des Moines Register. Now, at this point, you've not qualified under the DNC's tougher criteria. If you don't make it in, this is going to be the first time you won't have been on the debate stage. What's that going to mean for your campaign if you don't make it on that stage?
We're very confident that I'll be on that stage in January. I love it when CNN moderates a debate. I'm looking forward to it. But we've already exceeded the donor threshold by a very wide margin. We have one of the qualifying polls, and as soon as they start running polls in the early states, people will see that we're above the threshold needed to qualify. So I'll be on that stage.
So you think that looking forward, you're going to keep showing up. Andrew Yang will be on the stage as we move down and the field begins to winnow. In the last debate, though, you said it was an honor and a disappointment that you were the only non-white candidate on the stage. Obviously, we haven't had an historic field of candidates in this Democratic primary. What do you make of where we are and now you're the last non-white candidate there on the stage as of the last debate?
Well, I said it on the debate stage. Our politics reflects the disposable income of our citizens. And if you have lower levels of disposable income, you're much less likely to be in the less than 5% of Americans who donate to a political campaign. So that influences very profoundly the kind of people that make it to the debate stage in these later months. But we expect to be the lone candidate of color unless Corey joins me. I was a little surprised that the DNC elevated their threshold. I thought they were going to keep it the same.
Yeah, and I did want to talk to you about the threshold because the DNC has pushed back and said that it's led a very fair and transparent process and even told campaigns almost a year ago that the qualification criteria would go up later in the year, and not one campaign objected. What is your reaction to the criteria? I know there's been a lot of debate around it. The DNC said they've put a lot of thought into this and tried to make it as fair and equitable as possible.
I've had absolutely no issue with the DNC's thresholds throughout. They've actually been very fair and transparent, like they said. I was still surprised that they elevated the threshold for January, in part because I thought that they wanted to give Corey a path back to the stage to have more representation on the stage. And the only concern I have is that they haven't been running many polls, in part because of the holidays. So it's very difficult to have a higher threshold when there aren't that many polls out in the field.
And it was interesting because Cory Booker's campaign, along with the rest of the Democratic field, came forward with this letter earlier in December asking the DNC to go back to some of the earlier thresholds. Yes. And your campaign did sign on to that. But I was told by a source that some campaigns were calling the DNC, asking them, saying, hey, we're going to sign this, but hold the line because we like the thresholds. They're working for us. Was your campaign one of those? What do you think about that?
No, Corey and I are friends. I was eager to have Corey on the stage. I'm eager to have Corey rejoin us on the stage in January. So I can't speak for the other campaigns, but our communication has been sincere.
And I want to turn, you were here when we were talking about Joe Biden. This afternoon, he clarified his position on what he said to the Des Moines Register yesterday. He had said yesterday that he wouldn't participate in a subpoena to testify. He said today that he will do whatever is legally asked of him, that he just doesn't think, he was making the broader point, he doesn't think it's going to get to that point. If he is subpoenaed, and again, that's a big if because it hasn't happened yet, do you think he should testify?
Well, I would take Joe at his own word. I mean, he said that if he gets subpoenaed, then he would naturally comply. That seems like the right approach.
Yeah. Impeachment hovers over 2020. I mean, it's so many times, and I'm out on the campaign trail. You guys are talking to voters. They're not necessarily asking you particular questions about impeachment. We're talking about it. It is driving the news cycles. How does that affect how you're campaigning and how you move forward with your message?
My experience has been the same as yours out there. When you're in Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina, they are not as fixated on impeachment as the cable news networks are. And so we have to take every single opportunity to solve the problems that got Donald Trump elected, create a new way forward, and present a vision of a 21st century economy that works for people. To me, that's where my attention is as a candidate. I wish that the media was making that case more consistently to the American people rather than having all of its eyes on D.C.
But President Trump does do a very effective job of driving the narrative, of really taking up a lot of the news cycle. And you all are really forced to kind of reckon not only within your own party and competing against each other, but also with him before you even get to the point where you have a Democratic nominee.
What I've said is that anytime we're talking about Donald Trump, we are losing and he is winning. He's a creature that thrives on attention. And for better or for worse, generally for worse, the media networks have found that talking about Donald Trump drives ratings. And so you have this cycle of coverage and controversy that crowds out the chance to present a positive vision that Americans will get excited about. That's where my attention is, and that's where I think all of our attention should be.
He is the president, you know, you have to follow along what he's doing.
I don't blame people because it is historic.
Yeah.
He is the president.
Quickly before we go, Speaker Pelosi is holding on to those articles of impeachment. They're trying to kind of hash out what that's going to be like in the Senate. Do you think that's what she should be doing?
Nancy's been driving this entire process. She's very savvy. She knows what she's doing. If she thinks that's the right approach, I'm sure she's on point.
All right. Andrew Yang, thanks so much. Enjoy your new year in New Hampshire.
Thank you so much. It's so great to see you.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you making time.
All right, guys. So I'm sorry they had to bring up impeachment again. It's not the anchors on CNN. I hate defending CNN, but it's literally come from the top down. The whole Trump situation. I'm not even going to get into it right now. So yeah, the DNC, Yang, what can I say? I mean, he's right to be concerned. I've been warning people about this for a long time. The DNC is incredibly corrupt. Just look what they did with Bernie. That's why I can't believe Bernie supported the DNC, Hillary Clinton, and campaigned for her after they so openly rigged the election against him. That's the reason why Bernie is not seeing the accelerated growth he's seen last time around, is because people look at that as a big red flag. And I know there's Bernie supporters on this channel, and I love you guys, and I love Bernie, and he's, now Tulsi's sort of out. He's my second pick, but if hopefully Andrew Yang endorses him. But I can't, if Andrew Yang was to drop out, which is not, we're probably going to go at least into the spring. I don't know. This thing is a big red flag for Bernie, and I hate that so much. And people will say, well, what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to ask for recount after recount after recount and fight them. Take them to court. That's what you're supposed to do. It's in the Constitution. You're allowed to do that. If you capitulate, you're supporting corruption. And how can we know that you're not going to capitulate again? Compromised. I hate to say that. Anyway, so Andrew Yang, he's right to be concerned. There's precedent, there's history of the DNC doing this. You know what I mean? Like there's well documented. You know what I mean? I know he's trying to play nice and stuff like that, dude, but these people are not going to. I don't want to sound cryptic or dire, but man, you're going to have to come out swinging like you did with the MSNBC boycott. And not capitulate on that. You know what I mean? I understand sometimes you gotta, you look at the grand scheme of things. There's small battles you win. Some of them you just give up. I understand that, but dude, the DNC is not playing around. They've made a pick. You know what I mean? And you're not it, bro. So you're gonna have to fight, man. You're gonna have to fight. So that's all I got for you guys. I will be doing that merch drop, like I said, coming up soon, donating some money to Andrew Yang because it's getting crunch time on here. If you guys want to go to Discord and hang out with us on Discord, come do that. Most of us are all Yang fans. Some of them are former gamers from my other gaming channel, but all good, guys, all good. And I'll see you guys next time. I hope you guys like it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to say. I'll say smash like, do all that good stuff. Algorithm loves gravy. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right, I'm out of here.